Hello and welcome back to my series in Factorio, in which I am attempting to build my very first mega factory. My name is Azrael. Come along with me as we continue our adventure. Now, we have been working on the northwestern portion of our outer defensive perimeter, and one of the things that we've covered in the last episode, or at least partially covered, was the need to move more quickly between the main factory and the perimeter. I had put in one line of the train tracks to get there. Now I'm going to have to put in the rest of it. I'm just going to sit in the locomotive and put the rail segments out in front of me as we go. And as you can see, we just take off for the most part. Every now and then we hit a few trees, but then I can just jump out and take those trees down and then continue extending the line. And we're already there, so it's just a matter of connecting up these final little bits, and we'll have a dedicated highway out to the defensive perimeter, at least here in the northwestern quadrant of it. All right, now all I have to do is just tell it to go to the station, and it takes off on its own. Of course, it stops outside because the signals are all artificially red at the moment. I'm going to put on a wagon to put some inventory stuff down. And another thing I wanted to do, I realized that I could save a whole lot of time out here with this wall segment that I put in the last episode. Actually, just a little too early. Now, yeah, it was technically where it was supposed to be in order for this to be a square. But upon a little bit of scouting and reconnaissance, I noticed that there is a pretty massive lake just a little bit farther to the west of here that I could use as a natural border. So I'm going to take this segment of the wall down and go out into the wilderness. I'm going to have to clear out some of the locals in order to do this, and that means going down here. And I wade in a little too carelessly and end up getting killed. So we're going to try this one more time, being a little more careful about it this time. Because, as you recall in the previous episode, we had the introduction of the Behemoth level biters, and they have just become much more of a nuisance. My standard plan of running in and setting everything on fire is not working as well as it used to, because these guys are much more resistant to just about every form of damage. So it's really just a matter of being a lot more careful, being a little more concerned about my own safety, because these guys have really upped the challenge level out here. And one thing that I can do to help tip things a little bit farther back in my own favor is the production of destroyer capsules. So that's something I'm going to have to add to the factory sooner rather than later. I meant to do that a long time ago, but I was lazy and thought, well, until the Behemoth biters show up, it's not going to really be a problem. And now that they have showed up, it is a problem. And so it's something that's going to need a solution fairly soon. But in the meantime, I want to scout out a couple of aspects of this lake over here. And of course, that just means having biters chasing me all over the place and taking a little bit longer to be dealt with. Alright, I should be able to put out at least one more segment of the defensive perimeter here. There we go. Just switch back over to my construction pants. And a little bit of fighting going on down in my oil factory one more time. That area is going to be probably the most problematic area for the foreseeable future, because I just haven't done anything down there yet. I've been trying to work my way around in a counterclockwise fashion, and that just ends up being at the very end of that procession. So it's kind of my fault, but you know, again, you had to start somewhere. And all right, putting down the cargo wagon on the back of this thing to alleviate my inventory a little bit. And I'm going to head back into the factory because I realized I am dangerously short on flamethrower ammunition. I kind of forgot to stock up before heading out here because I wasn't expecting to have to do all of this combat. Whoop, let's just back that up right there. there's not any trains that really use that segment of the railroad anyway. Alright, get rid of some of the junk items in my inventory. I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of ammunition because the defensive perimeter out there needs its ammo. And then of course the power fails, and that's just kind of a recurring problem out here. One of those things that has been put on the back burner. Alright, that station up there, we're just going to go ahead and automate that and let it go. This is so much faster than walking back and forth manually. I don't know how you ever put up with it. But I am glad that you did, though, because, you know, viewers are always a good thing. And I certainly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to put 20 minutes toward each of my videos. Thank you very much for doing that, by the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, enough of that. We're back out here. We need to clear out a bit more before we can head up to the lake. I'm going to test out some of my perimeter defenses just to see how well it all goes. It does pretty well. I think it would be able to repel just about any kind of massive attack that goes on out here. And of course, once these segments of the defensive perimeter are up and fully operational, they will also be able to repair themselves and put in a request back at the main factory for any items that they need. You know, such as if there's a wall segment that's been destroyed, or a turret, or it's out of ammunition, or whatever. A train will come along and resupply it as demand requires. That is, of course, the ultimate goal of all of this. I have actually yet to put it into action, just because. So right now, my entire plan is all hypothetical. I think I've worked out all the kinks, but I haven't actually tested it in the field. I'm going to head back here and let this wall help me a little bit more. It takes down those behemoth biters a lot faster than I can on my own. So it's a nice little test to see how well it can put that out. I need to get rid of this giant nest of biters over here before I can finish off this portion of the defensive wall. And that's just going to require a lot of running back and forth. And of course the power is out, so none of my laser turrets are actually working. So I'm relying on the gun turrets, and several of the gun turrets just ran out of ammunition. So I'm going to go ahead and put a bit more in there, but then of course the power is still out, so none of the inserters are actually working. That is going to be probably my number 2 priority once the defensive perimeter is up and installed, at least, is to put up some more solar panels and power production in general. Maybe by that point the 0.15 update will be out and I can dabble a little bit in the nuclear power. This distance right here for the final segment of the defensive perimeter was just about perfect in size. It had enough room to incorporate one final train station. I am, of course, out of rail segments in my inventory, and a couple of other things as well. Primarily being signals. But I can craft up some rail segments in my inventory while we're waiting on everything else. And according to the flashing dots on the map, there's just the signals, maybe some inserters, and a gate. A single gate. Alright, I do not have enough in my inventory to craft up the remaining signals, but I can take care of everything else. So the fact that there are missing signals over here is not a big deal. Right down here, I can even take that inserter off the end of the line because it's not feeding anything. Alright, and then of course we don't need the rail segments leading into the water. This is actually probably going to be a dead end over here. I can branch off for the remaining defensive perimeter probably around here or so. Alright, one more time back into the factory just to get supplies for those last remaining things. I figure I can do that now because this is nice and quickly. And I was pushing the wrong button to slow down the train. I was thinking since I was traveling toward the right I could press left to brake, but that's not how you do it. You have to press down to brake, no matter which direction you're actually facing. Anyway, got that in there, so it's not blocking any other trains. Now, in order to finish off these rail signals, I just need some iron plates. And I think I still have everything that I need for building, so I don't need to go up and resupply on any of that. Fuel is looking good. I'm just feeding it all of the wood that I've been chopping down. So it's a nice expendable thing. Alright. This station is operational. Now I want to see how far south this lake extends, just so that I know exactly how much in terms of resources I'm saving, and where to continue building the defensive perimeter on the other side. But in order to do that, I need to just simply wade through a whole bunch of biter nests. And so I understand that this does get just a wee bit boring, just watching me fight over and over again. But, you know, maybe I can keep it entertaining. Maybe we can put some danger music in here or something. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, enough of that. Nobody wants to hear that. Alright. Just a couple of little pockets here and there. It's mainly not really even a problem because there's not a whole lot of behemoths spawning over here. And just a couple of little tiny spawner segments over here. I might as well clean up a couple of these outliers as well, just before they can grow into anything bigger. And, you know, like I've said before, it'll have to be done anyway, so might as well get it done now. And this area does look like it's more of a wetlands kind of biome, with all these little tiny lakes and the intermingling of grass and other things in this area, which is kind of odd because there was just this giant desert that I had to cross in order to get here. So one of the things that I have noticed lately, in the ever since the 0.13 update modified the terrain generation, it has created a much more diverse landscape. And of course, I didn't mess around with any of those options back when I created the map in the first place. I think terrain segmentation is what it's called, where you can, whoa, okay, let's calm down. That's about as close as you can possibly get to dying without actually dying. In a situation like this. Whew, alright, get my breathing back on track. Okay, and wading back into it. Yeah, the options in map generation, I believe, is called terrain segmentation, and it determines how large of a section of your terrain can be a single biome before it finds a border with something else. And I believe I just kept everything to the default, with exceptions to the density of the ore patches and such like that. Because when you're building a MegaFactory, you're going to need some dense ore patches in order to facilitate that. Because I don't want to spend half the game just going out and finding new patches to mine up, and then just within an episode or two, those are gone as well. I mean, as it is, I really haven't even checked on any of my current mining operations to see how well they're faring. And like everything else back in the main factory, it's just sort of handicapped in my solitary focus on getting this defensive perimeter done. And I realize that that's probably going to end up biting me in the butt in the long term, but I just want to get this this defensive perimeter in place. All right, I just need to take care of this, and once again they kill me. I'm going to try a slightly different tact. I'm going to stay a little bit farther north along the shores of the lake and take care of this. Of course, this little section of forest is so dense that it's really tough to walk around. And at first I'm thinking I'll just burn the whole thing down. And then I remember I have a shotgun that does it a whole lot more quickly. So I'm going to use that to get through there. And that does indeed look like that is the southern reach of this lake. Not too shabby, though. I believe that did save me on either 2 or 3 segments of my defensive perimeter. So that is a nice little time-saving maneuver. Of course, I still need to take care of this little uh, section, this monstrous blob of spider nest down there. The one that killed me last time, I will have my revenge, but for right now, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, right about there, that looks like it's going to be a good place to continue the defensive perimeter on the other side. In the meantime, I'm going to explore a little bit, see what kind of stuff we've got out here, and take out some of these spider nests that I've been passing by as I explored that little lake there, so that I can at least have the northern half of this area pretty much cleared. I know that there's some nests that I missed up there in the north. You might be able to see them on the mini map. Maybe not. I mean, they were there earlier. Trust me. Anyway, all right. Here is our lifeline to the defensive perimeter. I thought about just putting a station here and calling my train back to me, but because of the way this thing is set up, it's not going to let me do that. And I'm right here anyway. I might as well just walk right back in. Now, before I continue too much farther in my quest to eliminate all of those biters, look at how many there are. We've almost got the northern half of our personal square blocked in. But before I continue too much farther, I really do want to get an automated capsule production going. And it has been so long since I've actually set up one of these things, I've completely forgotten all of the ratios and proper layout for everything. And I want to try to get all three levels of capsules, both the defenders, the distractors, and the destroyers. Try saying that 3 times fast. I want to get all 3 of those done in one rack segment if I can, kind of like what I have with the module production. Just because it saves time and I don't have to run belts all over the place, like you can see in some of these other areas. But I'm just really almost at a loss as to how to actually set this up. First things first, I do need to extend this main bus over a little bit farther. I'll just go ahead and do that now. But it's really just kind of bending my brain. And another problem that I have is that capsules are going to need red and blue circuits, and I do not have those on the main bus for my my military facility. Not that that's a huge issue. It's just running a few more belts over. Nothing serious. So in the meantime, right now, I'm just going to focus on getting the layout done, trying to remember the proportions, and of course, there's an attack down here in my inner perimeter that destroyed a turret. So I'm going to run over and replace that. And of course, I don't have any of the ammo in my inventory. You saw me put that in the box a little while ago, so I just had to give it some of my own personal stash. Now, I believe the ratio is 1 destroyer facility needs 4 distractor assemblers, and in order to keep those running, I would need 8 defender machines running. So it's 8, 4, and 1. So if I put the destroyer right in the middle, surrounded by the 4 distractor capsule assemblers, and now each of those is going to need 2 assembly machines feeding it. I might just be able to do it like this, and then of course the same thing on the other side. I will have to move that substation, but that's not an issue. Put everything in like that, and then feed them in with long-handed inserters. That should give me enough room to run some belts around this place, because I am going to need to run a lot of belts. And then just feed those in with some fast inserters. I don't have enough, so I'm just going to use stack inserters instead. It doesn't really matter. They work about the same. And now it's just going to be a matter of feeding belts in. Of course, for the defender capsules, I am also going to need gear production, because I always do my gear production on site. I also have a requester chest bringing in the the level 1 speed modules. It really shouldn't need more than 10 at a time, because those do take quite a while to produce on their own. Another thing that I would like to have a lot of room for is also the if I want to put some speed beacons into this whole thing in order to speed it up. But we'll kind of worry about that as the time moves by. I'll have to repeat this layout on the top, but you know what? I'm going to call this good for the end of the episode. I'm not going to worry too much, but thank you very much for tuning in. Never stop building.